Welcome, welcome everybody to the Daily Detox webinar with Dr. Carolyn Dean, MD, ND. So happy to have you here with us this afternoon, or those who are listening to the replay, wherever you are listening to the replay, welcome. Happy to have you with us. We've got, I think, more questions for this webinar than we've had for any of the other webinars that we've done, which means that people are heavily interested in this topic because we usually get a lot of questions. And it's a good topic to discuss because there are so many confusing theories, counter theories, this and that about what is actual detox, how it actually works in the body, what products promote it, what products defeat it. But fortunately, we have Dr. Carolyn Dean here with us today, who, as we know, is not only just the world's leading expert on magnesium supplementation, but she's a natural health doctor and an MD, having been in this field for over 50 years. And ladies and gentlemen, she has seen it all. She's done it all. She's tried it all. And she's come up with the things that are not only just really effective, but they're biologically accurate. And this is one of the things that you really want to pay to, is something biologically accurate, meaning that it actually supports all the systems of the body and doesn't cause weird, wacky reactions on the out fringes and all the rest of this. So we're so thrilled to have her with us today. And what we're going to do, just so you know, is there's a couple options. First of all, you can be on YouTube. As you're on YouTube, if you have questions, you can type them into the chat line, and I will see those and we'll ask them during the Q&A. The other thing that you can do is many of you has typed in your questions, and we're going to weave them through the presentation. We'll give the last 5 minutes of the presentation to ask any questions that haven't been addressed, so your questions will get answered, and that's one of our primary purposes here today, is to answer your questions. So without further ado, may I welcome and introduce Dr. Carolyn Dean.
And there's no yay button. I didn't even know whether I should start talking. I'm so used to the yay button on our radio show. Okay, so yes, now Ginney said in the last 5 minutes we'll answer questions, but that's not the only time you're going to have your questions answered, so don't worry about it. The slides are information heavy, and you will be given access to the slides and the audio replay so that you can go over it again, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time just reading the slides. I say it's a daily detox because we do have to realize that our body is a detox machine itself. And the next slide, I say detox is a normal body function, and the body is a genius at self-healing, self-cleaning, until we mess it up. And the only thing we can do is assist what it already knows how to do way better than we know. And as I go through the slides and this webinar, I'll be addressing that over and over again, how we can only assist. We really can't decide ourselves that, oh, this is exactly what the body wants to do, and we're going to make it happen, because that, often ends in tears. In the next slide, we assist the body by reducing our toxic input. Now, this is an important slide to look at. Small doses of toxins can be beneficial to kind of stimulate the body to get rid of the toxins. I mean, it's if you live in a clear, pure, hygienic world, then you don't build up your resistance. I mean, this is what a lot of people were saying, moms especially, about vaccinations. Well, I'd rather have my child exposed to the illness than think we can prevent it with the vaccination. So anyway, this business of hormesis, where a mild stress makes your cells work more efficiently. We don't want to be so pure that we don't have any stimulation of our body's detox mechanisms. So we have to strike a balance. The increased healthy input is important, obviously. instead of giving you detox recipes and all that sort of hype, I'm going to be telling you to eat a yeast-free diet. Look at the yeast protocol in my book. What is it? Reset the Yeast Connection. You're going to be taking a good probiotic. We recommend Prescript Assist and a fresh organic diet. That is a detox diet because it's healthy input of good nutrients, and will enhance normal output by supporting the body's detox organs and pathways. In the next slide, the organs of detox, they're not just your intestines, but there's your skin. That's why I recommend a lot of Epsom salt baths. Your liver does most of the chemical detoxification. Anytime a drug or foods go through the body and through the liver, it's the food molecules, the chemical molecules. The liver has pathways that break down those chemicals and allow them to be excreted more safely. And the safe excretion through the kidneys and the colon, the lymphatics, that's the glands that swell up when you get an infection. They're important to keep clean and clear with what's that they require? Hydration, exercise. Massage is helpful too, and baths really also help the lymph. So when you're working with the organs of detoxification, this is these next few sentences are just saying what I've already said. There's some resting of your organs. Now, I don't necessarily agree with total water fasting. I'll get to that briefly in a minute. But fasting so that maybe you're not eating 3 squares a day for a couple of days, but instead what you do, you'd use ReStructure. Our ReStructure protein powder meal replacement can be very helpful if people want to kind of slow down their overworked digestion. And stimulating the liver to drive out toxins, we have to be very careful about this because you can actually uncover viruses that the body's trying to sequester and hide away so that you won't get infected. And of course, I agree with the promoting elimination through the intestines, kidneys, and skin, but not with harsh herbs, not with laxatives, and not with diuretics. Diuretic herbs, I'm suggesting, can be not as bad as diuretic drugs, but they can create this increased urination that can remove minerals from the body. Improving circulation of the blood, well, that's with hydration. That's with your sea salted water that we talk about. And of course, refueling the body with healthy nutrients. That's what we're all about with the minerals, the methylated B vitamins and Realign, the ReStructure. So what I'm going to be talking about throughout is how the protocols that many of you are already on are enhancing your detoxification. In the next slide, the phases of detoxification in the liver have been elucidated in medical texts. We had to learn about it in med school. But what we didn't learn was how these chemicals are broken down by about 50 different enzymes which require minerals. They mostly require magnesium, but also molybdenum and manganese, selenium, copper, all of which are in Remite. The sulfur is in our Realign, in the sulfur-based amino acids, methionine and taurine. The phase 2 and 3 require your B vitamins, which are in Realign. The methylated Bs are in Realign. The sulfur is in Realign. The glutathione, we have the precursor of methionine to make the glutathione. and the amino acids are in the restructure. So to get more information about the phase 1, phase 2, and 3, you can Google my blog or article called Safe Detoxing for Everyone. The next slide, the drama about detox, Ginney alluded to that, where it's all about detox now. You can Google detox and find so much information, but it's been around for a long time. You know, the health world was sort of motivated by Dr. Jensen, because he created this incredible statement that death begins in the colon. And he said the accumulation of toxic debris and substances due to inadequate and infrequent elimination produce poisons that can kill you. And that's true. I mean, in a certain sense, it is true. It is unfortunate that more and more people are constipated. That does mean they are holding toxins, and the body just recirculates them and can't get rid of them quickly enough. And that's why a lot of detoxification programs use laxatives like Cascara sagrada, which is a herb. Instead of that, I mean, I've always recommended magnesium, and it used to be a magnesium citrate, but with ReMag, we know that if you saturate your muscles with magnesium at the cellular level, your intestines, your intestinal muscles work better to create the peristalsis and the elimination of the colon. So it's not acting as a laxative. Magnesium is just supporting the natural body structure and function. Dr. Sherry Rogers, she wrote a book called Detox or Die. So these types of drama about detox, scared a lot of people into wanting to go on detox programs. I began to talk about too toxic to detox because I didn't want people to fall into this, I guess, behavior pattern of thinking that, oh, my body's toxic, my body's bad, I have to get rid of the toxins, I have to treat my bad body. But I don't like to think that way. I just like to think that we haven't supported our body's detoxification properly, and that's what we want to do. Detox becomes another conflict in a person's mind if we keep saying that we're bad and our body is dirty. The next slide is just the heading, creating toxicity, the downward spiral. The slide after that has the downward spiral. I'm going to probably talk about this in most of my webinars, and I talk about it in many of my books, where from birth, getting yeast from your mother, having a diaper rash, yeast ear infections, or then bacterial ear infections, and then the antibiotics causing colic and creating bowel irritation, and then allergies. So these stepwise downward spirals that so many people have suffered, in my scenario, they're linked to yeast overgrowth and mineral deficiencies. And I don't mean the slides to, create fear, but just to show that there's a basis for the yeast treatment that I talk about and the mineralization. The next slide continues on as you grow older and you get mono, and then women on birth control, and then pregnancy, creating more deficiencies. So it goes stepwise in this downward spiral. And the third downward spiral slides, our population that come to us as customers, probably the people listening to the webinar, you're in the midst of depression, anxiety, panic attacks, palpitations, women with early menopause, and also the symptoms of chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. we were talking on the radio show the other day about people on the Facebook saying that I've had fibromyalgia for 40 years. It's never been treated. It will never be treated. You know, I can't see how taking magnesium is going to change that. So we know it can do that, but we can't say to people, well, we promise you you'll be better, because there are many things that lead to a person having a chronic health problems. But we're doing our best to tell people, if you can take magnesium, which will help with detoxification, will help with your muscles and your nervous system, you can improve your health. The next slide, Ginney alluded to this as well, but you've seen them all, the 2-week, 1-week, 3-day detoxes, the marketing of these detoxes, prepackaged drinks and juices with no nutrients left in them. The next slide, the colon detox, when they just focus on the colon, it's usually the laxatives that can irritate the gut and make symptoms of IBS and leaky gut even worse. And I say that increasing your bowel movements to several times a day can actually be flushing out nutrients and good intestinal flora. I've already mentioned in the next slide about liver detox, allowing imprisoned viruses to escape. And many of you have probably heard or done the olive oil, Epsom salts, gallbladder flush, which I really don't support because of the chance, and it may be a rare chance, but it's a chance of gallstones getting stuck in the common bile duct and causing a lot of pain. The next slide about fasting. Yes, there's quite a stress in fasting. Now, some people might say that's like a hormesis, where you're putting stress on the body so that the metabolism will become more efficient. But in my experience, what happens is, people who are fasting are doing it for a reason, because they're already feeling unwell. And when you fast, the body thinks you're in a famine, and it will actually slow down your metabolism even more in order to protect you. So fasting often works against you. And the lack of protein in a water fast, it means the body's going to digest your body tissue to obtain protein. And Jeff Bland was one of the first doctors. He's a PhD, kind of a research scientist in nutrition. And he popularized meal replacement protein powders as a safer way to detox. And as I said, that's where we have our restructure. The next slide is natural detox support. So instead of the extremes, and I've already mentioned some of this, we've got for the skin, the Remag lotion, Epsom salts, baking soda, apple cider vinegar baths, 1 cup of each. That's an incredible detox bath. And also, I forgot to put it here, but the bentonite clay that I recommend, you blend that up in the blender. Only about 1/4 to 1/3 a cup of bentonite clay can also be put in this bath. Saunas for the skin, dry brushing for the skin. Saunas are easier, if you have access. Dry brushing, that takes some, time and motivation to do dry brushing. I'm afraid I've never really adapted to it. With the liver, liver snacking is something that I recommend, which is all it means is 5 to 7 hours between meals, which allows your liver glycogen stores to be metabolized so that the liver doesn't create this buildup of glycogen stores. Glycogen is stored glucose. So it's really important to do liver snacking. And what we should do, I didn't talk to Chad about this, but we should put liver snacking, the modules in my Completement Now online wellness program. We'll give you the liver snacking module as a gift at the end of the seminar. Milk thistle, that's one of the few herbs I do recommend. Try to get it organic and non-caffeinated. It's very good to support liver dysfunction. Kidney, and I'm not saying everybody should be on milk thistle, but say you've had hepatitis in any form, say you're being told that you have fatty liver. Now, fatty liver can just be from not giving yourself enough time between meals, so you're getting a fatty liver with all the glycogen buildup, or it can be from drinking too much fruit juice or using high fructose corn syrup sweeteners. As simple as that. Too much fruit can clog up your liver because it takes a lot of liver energy to break down fructose. Kidneys, ReMag is very important, even though it's said that magnesium is bad for unhealthy kidneys. It's actually quite the opposite. You really have to look at my book, the 2017 edition of Magnesium Miracle, to understand how important good ionic magnesium, such as we have with ReMag, is vital to heal the kidneys. Hydration, of course, with sea salted water for the kidneys. And organic non-caffeinated dandelion tea is helpful for kidney dysfunction, but it is a diuretic. So I'm just mentioning the herbs because people will ask me, but I would be using them sparingly. Then the next slide, just a continuation of the supporting your detox organs. The colon, support it with fiber. That's why I recommend psyllium seed. It really helps bulk up the intestines. If you're not eating a huge bowl of salad greens every day, you're really not getting enough fiber. And although I pretty much, 6 out of 7 days a week eat a big salad, I also take right now it's a teaspoon of psyllium seed powder with a tablespoon of bentonite clay. The finer the psyllium powder, the less you have to take. You can get psyllium like a talcum powder fineness, or you can get psyllium seed that's really just flaky, and you'll tell by how much it gels to know how much fiber that you're getting. So you can take a teaspoon to a tablespoon depending on the grade of the psyllium powder. For lymph, they've talked about mini trampoline for years. That's giving something called a G-force on your body when you jump up to a certain height. I really don't know if that's entirely true, but they talk about mini trampolines for the lymph. Even just walking is going to be good for the lymph. Your Epsom salts, clay, apple cider vinegar, salt baths are important. Their massage is helpful, especially lymphatic massage.
Hello, Chad.
Yeah, it looks like Carolyn dropped off, Ginney.
Okay, very good. Everybody just hang in there while we get Dr. Dean back on the phone. And she's on a roll, so she may not even realize she dropped off. So I'm going to try to contact her. I also want to just let everybody know that I've got your questions. I've got them all lined up here. And after she goes through her presentation, we will be answering all the questions that we've got. And we've just got a ton. So hang in there, everybody. I know you're here. And I know how to get a hold of her. So just hang in there a minute and we'll be proceeding with our information. Thanks everybody also too for chiming in and with all your questions. My gosh, and we've got great attendance this afternoon. And you will be able to get a copy of the slides because you're going to see a replay of the YouTube. But if you just want the slides themselves, I can sure ask Carolyn about that and see if she's willing to release them. I don't see why she wouldn't, since we're making them public on the YouTube. Okay, let's see. How are we doing here? Okay, there she is. She's back. Well, Carolyn?
She's there, but she's muted.
Okay. She's okay. Just a second. Yes, I know, Deborah, there's no sound. That's because Carolyn dropped off, but we're getting her back on and getting her phone unmuted. So just hang in there a second. There's nothing wrong with your computer. It's just a little technical glitch here on our end, okay? So we'll keep working with it, see if we can't get her to. Okay. Okay, also at the end of the webinar, you're going to also receive a link to the free gifts that Carolyn is offering for you today. So can we do the previous slide while we wait? Chad, somebody's got a question about the previous slide.
Okay, Ginney, go ahead.
Okay, very good. Are you there, Carolyn? Oh, there's the previous slide. So on the previous slide, the information was the natural detox support, as Carolyn talked about, for your skin. You can use our Remag lotion. You can also use Epsom salt baths, baking soda, apple cider vinegar baths. Carolyn, are you back?
I'm back.
Okay, so off we go.
Do you know what slide I dropped off on?
Yes, you are on the support detox organs. You were right at mini trampolines.
Okay, that's a while back. Okay, so then the next slide is the list of the various detox techniques, and the first slide after that list is the sauna side effects. So what I want to do is sort of give the downside of some of these things, just so you can be aware. And you can see sweating out your minerals and not replacing them, and dehydration are big. So you want to do our water guidelines with sea salt and be using maybe extra Remag and Remite. It's said that it's a heat shock that saunas are using to stress the body. In that hormesis definition I gave you, where you stress your body to do an activity and create a detoxification. But what I'm concerned about, because so many people who are very chronically ill approach us for our dietary supplements for their structure and function, that even a sauna is going to be too much unless they do it very gradually. Someone emailed customer service the other day that they did a bentonite clay foot bath, and they didn't feel well after that. So you just have to go slowly with any of these detox procedures. The next one, exercise side effects. Of course, over-exercising with intense forms like CrossFit is not going to be helpful. With exercise, you have to start slowly and do it not just on the weekends, the weekend warrior type syndrome. You have to do it gradually and do a little bit every day and build up. The next one, this cryolipolysis business. This is people who are sitting out in the snow or doing cold shock therapy. Again, shock is shock. If you're already stressed, don't even go there. The next slide is about the ketosis side effects, the ketone, what is it, the fat diets that is all the rage now, the keto diets. Focusing on fats, limiting carbs and protein is stressful for the body. And yeah, that stress may allow you to lose weight, but what else is it doing? And the side effects can be hypoglycemia, constipation, diarrhea, dizziness. You can read them there. And many of the side effects do sound like magnesium deficiency. So I know there's a big stress factor in the ketogenic diet. The next, activated charcoal side effects, they talk about that as being a detoxifier. I use bentonite and psyllium instead. Why I don't like activated charcoal is it turns the stool black and can cover up intestinal bleeding. The next slide, when I was working with autistic kids in New York, glutathione intravenous was a big deal for these kids, and it's very expensive. You know, IVs do have their own side effects, and what I've done instead is with our Realign, put in the methionine, which is a glutathione precursor. And that's, you know, in line with my philosophy that you give your body the building blocks to do its own detox at the right time, not when you decide. It should be not when you decide. The next slide, this calcium D-gluconate you'll hear about. It's an inhibitor of a certain enzyme that promotes excretion of a molecule in a specific detoxification pathway. However, high doses will break down hormones, which is not a good thing. So according to researchers, using this glucarate as a daily preventive supplement does not appear to be a prudent idea due to its lack of reliability, even in theory and with the high doses used. So we just have to be careful of what comes down the pike and really look into the side effects. Next slide, the IV chelation. Drugs are used to chelate, which means chelate means to bind heavy metals and minerals. It is not just going after the bad guys. It'll pull out anything. And the doctors who do IV chelation say, oh, well, we can replace the lost minerals with IVs. But knowing what I know about my minerals and how they're the only ones that are really properly absorbed, even better than intravenous, I don't think they can replace what they're pulling out. And we did have a question in the webinar about chelation suppositories. Now, the person didn't say what the chelation chemical was being used, but it's likely EDTA. EDTA is used as a food preservative, but it's also a chelator, and it can and will remove other minerals besides heavy metals and calcium. It removes a lot of calcium. So it's good for people who are calcified, of course, but you don't know the extent of what it's removing. But it also binds zinc, copper, and magnesium. And of course, when you read about this restriction on it, they say, so you should be sure to take a good mineral supplement to make up for what you might be losing. But again, most minerals are only 4 to 20% absorbed. So, you know, you take out 100% and you replace 20%. Now, that's a real exaggeration. But I know when I did some IV chelation on my own self, after 2 chelations, my knees were aching. So I knew it was pulling out my calcium and magnesium. The next slide, even the citrus diets, grapefruit diet, a lot of people who didn't realize they should brush their teeth after grapefruit were wearing down their tooth enamel with the acidity of the fruit. And the chemicals in grapefruit, we found out, inhibit an enzyme in the cytochrome P450 pathway. And that became a problem. Many drugs carry the warning, do not take with grapefruit. There's also Master Cleanse, water, lemon juice, maple syrup, cayenne, and ginger. Actually, Bob uses that. Instead of maple syrup, I put in the sugar substitute called Just Like Sugar. I think it's made from chicory. Not sure at this moment. But there are a lot of cleanses like this, with some ginger and cayenne, maybe some apple cider vinegar. And they're helpful. I mean, they do help. Lemon juice, of course, has a cleansing action, and you can take these things. But just think about the lemon juice and brush your teeth after you drink it. The next slide, detox foot baths were a big hit a number of years ago. And when I looked into the foot baths, I made my own foot bath by putting the 2 metal electrodes into saline water in a basin. I plugged it in to the socket, and the water turned brown, quite quickly. But my feet were not even in the bath. Okay. So what was happening is the metal in the electrodes was being hydrolyzed off the electrodes and into the water. So I cautioned people about that back then. I don't hear about them so much anymore because, are they pulling in those metals from the electrodes into their body? The next slide, and maybe I'll take a little breather and let Ginney talk about the products, because this is our detox. The following slide has the complement formula, pictures, and the first detox product is Realign. So Ginney, do you have a minute to take over here, or are you busy on the board?
Well, I am on the board, and we've got tons of questions. So I'm going to go through these products quickly, and we can definitely get to the questions that we have, because there are so many, and that doesn't include all the ones that were already sent in. But as Carolyn said, Realign is our gentle detox, and what we advocate more than anything is, as Carolyn said, you've got exercise, you've got good food, you've got lots of water, and you've got daily habits that support the ongoing detoxification and removal of toxins in your system. Now, I realize that everybody has extraordinary situations that are unique and require different attention. Some people do have that. But in general, most people will be well served by using the Realign. It has L-methionine and L-taurine as precursors, methionine a precursor to glutathione. Again, the best thing we can do is provide the building blocks for the body, and the body's own intelligence is going to be judicious and make its own way. Remember, your body is super, super smart, and all the decisions that it's making are to protect your brain and your heart. And if you give it the basic building blocks, it will make modifications as it can to protect your organs, to protect your brain, and it will keep you alive. It is not trying to take advantage of you or take you off the planet. So we're just going to provide it with the basics like we have in the Realign. It does drive the glutathione sulfation methylation pathway. We have a lot of questions about whether or not you can take this if you have the MTHFR gene expression, and the answer is yes. So we've got that opportunity there with the Realign, and we're going to come back and talk about that. Also, methionine and taurine are the sulfur amino acids, so that's really good for your body as well. Plus, you've got the Bs that are methylated again, as we've said. The next slide should be our Remag slide, maybe, Chad, I think. Next product slide. Okay, yes, is Remag. Remag aids the liver, and as Carolyn talked about before, the P450 detoxification pathways, that's magnesium. Magnesium ions in any cell of the body and brain will dump chemicals, toxins, heavy metals, and excess calcium. And this is why Remag is so important, because Remag are actual stabilized magnesium ions. It's not a dirt mineral and a binder or a filler. It is an actual magnesium ion that's stable in its form, and it is going to go straight into your cells. It will also relax the intestinal muscles for better bowel movements. The next slide should be Remite. Remite is our multi-mineral. There are 12 minerals in the Remite that all have a positive effect on the immune system and your hormones. And again, in the P450 detox pathways, the molybdenum, the manganese, the selenium, and the copper are all represented in the Remite. So again, you're getting that additional support that you need. The next slide should be Restructure, and that is our meal replacement, as we talked about. You can use this to rest your digestion instead of fasting. And again, we talked about that a little earlier, that the whole point of even coming up with the meal replacement was to rest digestion instead of fasting, because of what water fasting does to the body, and also what it does to cannibalizing your organs and your tissues to get protein, because the body's going to get what it wants one way or the other, but it may cannibalize your internal organs in order to get it. And also it does contain our RNA powder as an extra bonus, and we've been told by many, many people it's extremely easy to digest, and it's been very healing and beneficial, and it really does help with building those muscles, including the muscle of the heart, which is one of our favorite muscles of all. And the next is our RNA drops, and what I say is let your curiosity use you when it comes to the RNA drops. We don't want to say fully what they are, because we don't want to limit what they can do, but we do know that what they were designed for is to assist the RNA to allow the DNA to make a more perfect copy of your cells. So they're going to retrieve cellular information, and they also take out the trash with the realign, and they replace cells with the RNA drops and the Restructure. So the RNA drops are very beneficial. People feel renewed. They feel re-energized. They absolutely, now I know for a fact in my body, in my world, it's helped with my own heavy metal detoxification because of where I was in my body before I started on the drops and where I am now, and what specifically has occurred with me internally. So there's a lot of tremendous benefit to the RNA drops.
Very good.
Okay. Next slide. Where are we going now?
We're done.
Oh, reset the yeast connection. Oh, did you want to talk about that, Carolyn?
I started out with that, saying that instead of a detox diet, let's do the yeast-free diet. It's so beneficial to balance out your intestinal flora. Probiotics, the psyllium for fiber, the bentonite, antifungal herbs, garlic, grapefruit seed oil, or oregano oil, and caprylic acid in a rotation. It's all in the Reset the Yeast Connection book. So I think that's important for people to look at if they're looking to detox. You want a diet that you're going to stick with, that's helpful to you, long term, instead of just having some crazy detox concoction that you may pick up in Costco and think that you're going to, over a weekend, suddenly be cleaned out. We want this to be lifelong habits. So that's all I want to say about the Reset the Yeast Connection.
Okay, let's do some of these questions and see what comes up as we go. Now, the first question, and I'm just going to the top of the chat line. I'm not even starting with all the different questions that were submitted beforehand. Mm-hmm. But Karen Redding asked this question. My hair has been falling out like crazy. I'm also bruising like crazy, very dark, mean bruises when I've barely brushed against something. What do you think could be the cause, and what can I do about this? I'm not on any blood thinners. So I'm not sure this is a detox question. Carolyn, do you want to correspond with Karen off the webinar on this?
Well, there are common symptoms, the hair falling. I'm not going to diagnose Karen, but just to say that hair falling out is often thyroid related, and bruising, that's where part of the Dr. Dean's supplement recommendations on that blog, Dr. Dean's supplement recommendations, I talk about the need for vitamin C, food-based vitamin C complex. We do have RDA of vitamin C and restructure. But if you're actively bruising, you need more vitamin C. And by it being food-based, it does have the bioflavonoids in it, and it's a bioflavonoids that help heal small capillaries. The whole RNA reset program will help. I think Karen's probably already on the Remite. So the other thing about hair falling is if in the previous 3 to 6 months there was major stress, you can lose a lot of hair. Women say after pregnancy, 3 or 4 months after they give birth, their hair will fall out. So that's just some basic things about hair falling and bruising.
Okay, very good. One of our questions this afternoon, when we detox, should we take supplements? I think we went over that in terms of your recommended protocol. Anything else that we should add to that, Carolyn?
Well, I think the point we're making throughout is that you're not going to go on a detox that's any different from what you should be doing every day. Perhaps what you could do is maybe one day a week, just do restructure and psyllium seed powder and bentonite and lots of water. That could be a detox day. And yes, absolutely, you take the complement formulas when you're detoxing. I don't know if this is a customer asking the question, but we're trying to promote you doing an eating plan, not a diet, but an eating plan that you can do every day that's healthy.
Very good. 2 weeks ago, I was diagnosed with shingles. Any recommendations? Read Detox from Ursula. Carolyn? Uh-oh, we lost Dr. Dean again. We're going to have to get her back. Hang in there, Ursula, and let's get her back so you can get your question answered. That's terrible, isn't it? You're right on you've been waiting the whole time, and then the next thing you know, here goes the call and it drops again. So we will get her back on the webinar and get her engaged again and get your question answered. Sorry about that, sweetheart. Sorry about that. Let's see if we've got her back yet. Okay. She's a coming. She is a coming. She should be right back, you guys. Okay. Okay. But yeah, it's been great having so many people participate today. This has really been fun. And again, if you're listening and we don't get to your question for some reason, be sure to email us at support, SUPPORT at RNA Reset. And all the questions that we're not able to answer today, we will definitely answer through support at rnareset.com. There she is. She's back. Now let's see if we can get her off mute. There she is. Yep, she's coming. There she is.
Right.
Okay, Carolyn, the last question was Ursula typed in and asked that she's just been diagnosed with shingles. Do you have any recommendations for her?
Right. Well, with shingles, it's reactivation of the chickenpox virus. So there's some major stress that has caused that reactivation. So it's, to my mind, it's to treat stress, and that's certainly with the Remag, to treat the symptoms. Remag lotion may be helpful. I don't think we've recommended that yet, but I'd like to know if that would help. Vitamin E oil directly on the shingles. I think the whole total body reset protocol will help because it helps detoxify. The B vitamins are going to be helpful. I think what we're doing with the total body reset and the yeast protocols is giving people a way to treat any type of toxicity or stress that creates in them a feeling of toxicity, or the immune system just becoming so weakened that these viruses come to the surface.
Very good. Thank you, Carolyn. One question, actually, we got this in several different forms. Is diatomaceous earth a detox? That was one question. Then another question was, is diatomaceous earth good to take? And if so, what's the best way to take it? And another question about diatomaceous earth was along those same lines. Should you use it orally or should you use it in a bath?
I don't know about it in a bath. I use diatomaceous earth, and that's the only way I can talk about it. It is used for parasites in animals, and animals tend to be way more sensitive than humans, and that's why I decided to use it. There is a European company that is trying to promote diatomaceous earth for human use. But when you look into it, you may see a lot of, hedging around of the companies, because I don't know if it's gotten FDA approval for oral use in humans. I personally take a teaspoon of it, maybe just once a week. If I had parasites, I'd be taking it every day. As I said, in animals, it's safe, and I'm an animal, so I think it's safe for me as well.
Okay, very good. One of the gentlemen who typed in today typed in, what can I do about chronic Epstein-Barr?
Well, chronic Epstein-Barr is usually the designation for chronic fatigue syndrome. We did a chronic fatigue fibromyalgia webinar. So rather than repeat all that, I would direct you to that webinar. And in, I guess would it have been the Remite Recalcia booklet, I talked about thyroid and adrenals and chronic fatigue. And when you have chronic Epstein-Barr, then your other organs and hormones are affected as well. So all our major focus with our protocols, our total body reset and the yeast is to treat actually chronic fatigue, yeast overgrowth, and fibromyalgia, because those are the things that I started to recognize in the mid to late 80s. So those diseases started becoming rampant. So my whole focus is looking at chronic fatigue and yeast overgrowth. So whatever I talk about can be effective, but go to the fibromyalgia webinar first.
If you haven't gotten a link to that through our emails, just email me at support, SUPPORT, RNAreset.com, put webinar history in the subject line for fibromyalgia, and we'll send it right to you. Okay, here's another one. Good afternoon, Carolyn. I want to know, how do you feel about oxygen-based colon cleansing from Global Health Center Company? Is it safe to use that oxygen formula?
I have no idea. I
Okay.
really don't know. I mean, there's a lot of oxygen products, and I don't know that you can put oxygen in a bottle. I'm just looking at now oxy powder. It's probably a magnesium oxide. You'd have to give me more information. People think I know everything, Ginney, and
Well, you do.
I do.
Okay. How many, Gail Piper de Mesa wants to know, how many bowel movements a day are considered healthy?
That's a good one, because I used to hear, one after each meal, but I only eat 2 meals a day. I have one really good bowel movement every morning, and I'm happy with it. So I really don't know about having a whole lot more. Maybe 2 a day is fine, but once you start getting into loose bowel movements, you're pulling out nutrients, and you're pushing the food through your colon too fast before you absorb all the nutrients. I think it should be, like 24 hours, 18 to 24 hours. And you judge that by eating a bunch of beets and seeing when your bowel movements are tinted pink and red. You don't want to have too many bowel movements. So there.
Okay, a follow-up to that, not from this person, but right behind it came, thank you for offering this information regarding detox. I have high iron and other heavy metals. I am on Morley Robbins protocol, and I have at least 3 bowel movements a day.
Yeah, I can't comment. I don't know that I would enjoy having 3 bowel movements a day. I don't know how much nutrients I'd be holding on to. So
Right.
I really can't comment. I mean, Morley's not a doctor. He was an administrator and got into this work. So I don't know what his credentials are for his protocols.
Very good. What about people with adrenal fatigue? Now, this is on the fasting slide, Carolyn. Amy wanted to know, what about people with adrenal fatigue who are told not to go more than 3 hours without eating?
Right. Well, if you're told that and you don't feel well after 3 hours, then you follow that. People who do the total body reset protocols, they're supporting their adrenal glands with magnesium, et cetera, et cetera. And what I heard back from people when they did the liver snacking and spread out the time between meals is that, oh my gosh, I'd never allowed my body to get a bit hungry. I never knew what it felt like. So there's, you do have to judge, when you're given information or given proscription, when you're told you can't do this or you have to do that. You have to say, is that right for me? And I don't know the extent of the asker's adrenal fatigue. I don't know anything except that you have to judge for yourself. If you feel better with your meals spread out. The whole thing about hypoglycemia, I think, was related to mineral deficiencies. And I hear people talk about hypoglycemia now, but I think there's so many other chronic problems people have, they don't even recognize their low blood sugar. But anyway, low blood sugar, high blood sugar are both related to magnesium deficiency.
Very good. If we want to try and make our own Remag lotion, do you have a ratio of how much Remag lotion to lotion that works the best?
Yeah, you can just go by what we know about the dosing. In Remag lotion, it's 200 milligrams per teaspoon. In the Remag liquid, it's 300. So it looks like it's 2 parts Remag to 1 part lotion.
Very good. Also, the next person is let's see. Can we continue to consume raw apple cider vinegar on a low yeast diet for candida?
It appears that it may be more like 60-70% of people are okay with apple cider vinegar on the yeast protocol. Some people, it just doesn't work for them. I know personally when I had yeast and when someone said, oh, you have to drink, an ounce or 2 of apple cider vinegar every day. Well, it burnt my stomach, it didn't work for me. And that's what I want to keep emphasizing with folks. Try it and see. You really, watch yourself and see if it's going to work for you or not.
David typed in, I have no colon. Should I alter my detox regimen?
I don't know what regimen you're doing, or if you mean what I'm talking about. Perhaps you would not need psyllium seed powder, but maybe just use a bit of bentonite for if you have any gas. But nothing else in what we've talked about should needs to be modified.
What if Epsom salt baths cause extreme skin dehydration?
I think that's where people would put some oil in the bath, you know, their bath oils. You can get some natural oils. It's possible that your skin is has lost what we call its acid mantle, where you're pulling out water rather than putting it in. I mean, I don't understand the dehydration aspect. I don't know that I've heard that extreme. I don't know what else to say. Just make sure you drink a lot of water and maybe don't take baths for a while and just use magnesium lotion on your skin to try to heal it up.
Very good. Is there, let's see, what about blood Babesia infestation / Lyme disease?
Well, I'm not an expert in Lyme treatment. Apparently, some of our customers have said when they go on the protocol, it does help their Lyme, but you know, I haven't gotten specific on that because basically we're a dietary supplement company and we're not treating Lyme disease. But we kind of support the structure and function of all the organs that may be affected by Lyme. And certainly after, you know, if people have had antibiotics, you really need to go on the yeast protocol.
Very good. I'm going to skip the questions about magnesium for now. Let's stick with the detox questions and we'll come back to magnesium questions, and especially dosing for ReMag and that kind of thing, because those are questions that can be answered through customer support. And we don't necessarily need to rely on Dr. Dean's immediate expertise because she's already laid all that stuff out. Let's go on to these other questions. Magnesium. Let's see what this one. I'm a functional medicine practitioner. Magnesium. I would like to know what your recommendations are for magnesium in terms of magnesium value. What's the minimum and maximum that you recommend? Also, people are naturally more sensitive than others. What do you do with those types of clients?
Well, I'm mainly talking about my ReMag because it's 100% absorbed at the cellular level. The dosage can vary. You know, at 110 pounds, I needed 1,200 milligrams of ReMag for over a year before I became saturated enough that I didn't get heart palpitations and leg cramps if I missed a dose. And now I'm on 300 milligrams of ReMag and no symptoms. But I do slather on ReMag lotion as my body cream. So there's the minimum. I mean, we see people on a half a teaspoon twice a day, the 300 milligrams to start out, and they say all their symptoms are clearing. But even those same people, maybe a few months down the road, will say, well, my symptoms are coming back. Well, you need more magnesium. Symptoms that are obviously magnesium deficiency, if they start coming back, you need more magnesium. So I'm in terms of in the form of ReMag, because it is so well absorbed. The other store-bought magnesiums maybe 4 to 20% absorbed, and I personally would get the laxative effect with anything other than my ReMag. So hopefully that answers your questions. But I have written a booklet on ReMag called Invisible Minerals Part 1 that you can get at one of our websites, which is drcarolyndeanlive.com.
Excellent. Okay. Is there a true benefit to coconut oil? If yes, how much is beneficial?
Well, that's another thing. Coconut oil, it is antifungal. It's a saturated fat that can be very healing to the body. It has medium chain fatty acids. It's got all the good stuff. People promote it all over the place, you know, several tablespoons a day. Personally, if I take straight coconut oil, it irritates my throat. So I know it's too cooling for me. So I just use it with other food. I don't take it straight. I learned that when I tried to do coconut oil pulling. where you put a teaspoon in your mouth and hold it there. Everybody's different. The true benefit to me, I don't know. I mean, I just take it. Some people take it. I think it's Fife, F-I-F-E, has written all the coconut oil books and has all kinds of testimonials. You'd have to try it and see. I don't think there's any danger to taking several tablespoons of coconut oil a day.
Very good. Mercola recommends working up to 2,000 milligrams of magnesium every day to protect from an EMF or EMR. Do you agree with this, or is it harmful to take so much magnesium?
Well, I don't know what form he's using because it's going to cause a lot of diarrhea in people. What's worse? And I don't know that this business about protecting it. I know the magnesium is very helpful for people who are sensitive to Wi-Fi and wireless radiation. I don't know. 2,000 does seem an extreme amount. It's very medicinal. And I know when we have people taking 4 teaspoons of ReMag a day, we do encourage them to do sea salted drinking water, to do the ReMite and make sure they balance the other minerals. So 2,000 milligrams of magnesium on its own. Now, is it magnesium, or are they saying vitamin D? Is it actually magnesium?
Yeah, she's saying magnesium.
Yeah, I don't understand that, but it's too much without a balance of the other minerals.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, when giving methylated Bs versus precursors, bodies downregulate enzymes. So how long is it safe to take Realign before our smart bodies start to turn off our own methylation functions?
I don't know that. I know bees are water soluble, so they're always going in and out. They're not going to be sticking around. So I think that's all I could say about your question without doing my own research.
Tara wants to know, can kids take ReMag to help with bowel movements also?
Yes, we've had many people tell us that the ReMag did help balance out their kids' bowels.
Very good. And it's half the adult dose between the ages of 4 and 12. Under 4, we can't make any recommendation per the FDA. What is the main ingredient of the protein powder? I'll just answer that really quickly. There is a 3 type of proteins. There's a rice, there's a pea, and there's a whey. The whey is not a quote unquote lactose protein per se. It's got 0.0625 milligrams of lactose in it, which is a trace amount. Otherwise, you're milk free. So you're in pretty good shape with the restructure. You can get it in an individual packet when we have them in stock, and you can just try it for $1.99, so you don't have to invest in a whole canister. Just keep your eyes on the website or your emails, and we'll let you know when it comes back in stock. Should be another 2 or 3 weeks. What is liver snacking, Carolyn? Can you go over that again?
It's just not eating for 5 to 6 hours between meals, so that when your blood sugar starts to go a bit low, your body dumps glycogen into the bloodstream, the glycogen from your liver, and that glycogen breaks down into glucose and keeps your blood sugars balanced. So it's breaking down liver stores and utilizing that glycogen in a cycle. You build it up and then you break it down. If you're eating every 2 hours, and most people do, they'll have meals and snacks and they're constantly eating, then your liver is going to build up these glycogen stores, and that they're not getting broken down.
Another thing they call it in the CrossFit world and all these trendy exercise worlds, Carolyn, is intermittent fasting. So
right.
call it that too. So Stacy, you might recognize it as intermittent fasting. Now I know sometimes intermittent fasting, they can say 8 hours, 12 hours, but some exercise, guru kind of people will recommend the same amount, 5 to 6 hours. Okay.
And the 8 to 12 hours is overnight.
Correct.
It's just an overnight fast. Yeah.
Correct. That's actually absolutely correct. Is the whey in restructured powder supportive for someone with casein or dairy sensitivity? I think we just answered that.
And there's no, you didn't mention casein, but yeah, there's no casein in our whey powder. And the thing about restructure, it's carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. So you're not straining your body to, you know, try to find the third major, you know, food component. It's very balanced.
If I'm on the Candida protocol and not eating fruit, what food-based sources are there for vitamin C?
Food-based sources for vitamin C that Grown by Nature is our favorite. Grown by Nature. Standard Process has a cataplex C too that I'll use sometimes.
Very good. So we're talking supplement form. You're not gonna, you can get whole food supplements, Karen, instead of the foods if you can't use the fruit like you're doing right now. Okay, also, somebody typed in about your recommendation, Carolyn, for family members who have diabetes, and I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and just shoot that to support at rnareset.com, because it is going to be the total body reset that we've been talking about. We talked about it earlier with the Remag, the Remite, the Realign, the Restructure, those kinds of things, and we could go over it in more detail with you. But you've got Dr. Dean's best recommendations there, especially for anybody who's got that kind of a sugar imbalance. She's talked several times about how magnesium will balance blood sugar, so you can kind of just use that as your guide. I've been drinking 1 tablespoon bentonite and psyllium husk powder every morning, followed by sea salted water. Is this okay to take every morning?
Well, I do, and I'm doing fine with it. That's all I can say. I can't say for anybody else. But you have to wait an hour before eating. I think of the psyllium and bentonite drink in the morning as extending my overnight fast.
Very good. And then eating 1 or 2 meals a day. Yeah, okay. It is considered intermittent fasting by some scientists. Yes, that's correct. Okay. Let's see, what Kristen wrote back in response to the Mercola comment, Carolyn, was magnesium helps the cell's calcium channels from opening per Mercola. EMF causes the channels to open and flood too much calcium in the cells. Taking more minerals makes good sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I write about in Magnesium Miracle and I blog about. Yeah, that's fine, but I don't know that you need that much magnesium to do that, because it's going to throw out your other minerals. I mean, it's medicinal. It's medicating. And what, you're going to take that for 10 years for supposed EMF? That's never going to happen. It's bizarre.
Right.
But thank you for clarifying. I see what he's saying now. Thanks.
Right. Okay. Cynthia, I just completed your 16-ounce Remag and it helped with my palpitations, but if I don't take it, then I get the palpitations again.
Right. So you're not saturated. And you probably heard me say a few minutes ago, it took me a year before I was fully saturated and stopped having them. This is not a drug that's going to cure your palpitations. This is a mineral that most of us have been lacking for decades, that you have to build up again and take on a daily basis, whether in your diet, which we know we can't get anymore because you're only getting 200 milligrams in a diet now, whereas we used to get 500. So you're not getting addicted to magnesium. You're just taking it as a food that we should, you know, by rights, be getting in our food supply.
Excellent. What are your thoughts on Cemento and Banderol as antimicrobial herbs?
Don't know them.
Okay.
Don't know them.
Marcy typed in, I was just diagnosed with hypothyroid. Will the RNA reset help? I just started Remag yesterday and I had a lot of trouble falling asleep. Was this a freak occurrence or is it common?
Well, the hypothyroid, I do talk about that in where, oh, I have a thyroid book. reset your thyroid or something. So the questions will be answered in there. And when you're just starting the remeg, some people may find it activates them. Some people find it makes them tired. You have to work with it. I would take it in the morning if it keeps you up. But magnesium has this incredible ability to give you energy during the day and help you sleep at night. But you have to read more about it. You know, it's not a drug. It's what the body requires for hundreds of different enzyme functions.
Excellent. Any ideas for dry eyes and a sore tongue? Sjogren's been ruled out.
Sore tongue is often B vitamin deficiency. Dry eyes, sore tongue can be yeast overgrowth too. Dry eyes, I tend to think of as yeast overgrowth. I know when you get latex eye surgery, it can give you dry eyes. For dry eyes, I recommend as just a symptomatic, the Similazin, Similasin, eye drops. But look at yeast overgrowth. I have a book, Reset the Yeast Connection, at drcarolyndeanlive.com.
Okay. A couple questions on the drops. One of them, are the RNA drops taken internally or externally?
Well, we have the RNA drops that are under the tongue, and we have an Renew concentrated RNA drops that's a skin serum.
Okay. I take the RNA drops. What is the best time and way to take them?
You go for that one, Ginney. I'll take a drink of sea salted water.
Okay, the best time to take the RNA drops is, you know, really honestly, vibrationally, whenever it feels good to you. I mean, sometimes I take drops every morning. Sometimes I like to take them in the evening. Sometimes I don't take them till the afternoon. They are really kind of an intuitive product. So you can do whatever makes sense to you. We do recommend that you don't have any food or water for 15 minutes after you take them, and you use them sublingually. You just start with 1 to 3 drops for the first 30 days, and then you build your dose. Some people can take up to a teaspoon of RNA drops every day. So there's no limit really to how much you can use. You just want to find a dose that feels good for you, and you'll know that it's working for you because you'll feel good energetically. It's kind of like a little hum that's kind of underneath your daily experience of yourself. And if you get too sped up or kind of like snappy, then you've probably gone too far with your dosing. That's the most common thing that you've gone too far, is if you get too sped up. Okay. Okay, let's see. Where are we here? I think we are dry eyes. Could they be under or over methylation? Somebody's typing in from the Coherence Clinic.
I don't know that. I mean, there's so much we don't know about over and under methylation. And I make the comment that when you have enough magnesium and minerals, that the mutations may not express as much. So, and someone I think did say that they do have a methylation mutation and they couldn't take the Realign. And I know Ginney said earlier that most people with MTHFR can take Realign, but
uh-oh, there she goes again. Gosh darn it. I think she's pulling on her microphone somehow, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure about that, but let me get her back on the line. And also, I'm going to read a couple of these questions that we've gone over already on the chat line here. One of them, Stacy just typed in and said, I recently took calm magnesium 1 full teaspoon before bed and felt as though I was on speed for hours. Why would this be? And are you talking, Stacy, about Natural Calm? Can you just let me know? That's the product that you're talking about, because that'll help me with my answer on that one for you. And let's see where we are here. And we've got, like I said, quite a few questions that we haven't gotten to that were typed in for people who were not going to be able to be here today. So we want to get to those. And then I think once we get this done. Okay, natural calm. Okay. I've heard that happen before to a couple people, and what I've heard Carolyn explain before is it could be the magnesium citrate. Natural calm is magnesium citrate, and the citrate aspect of it could be a little bit of an adjutant for you. Okay, Carolyn, we're back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's see. Stacy was just saying that she switched to natural calm 1 full teaspoon before bed and felt as though she was on speed for hours, couldn't sleep. And I told her that I thought it might be the citrate and the magnesium citrate, because I have heard that before from other consumers. Do you have anything you want to add?
That's a possibility. And other people, it won't bother them. So again, it's very individual.
Okay. The Coherence Clinic is typing back, to be clear, magnesium is essential to methylation functions, yet methylated B12 may be over-methylating and drying one's eyes. Other forms of B12 are gentle precursors, hence my question about Realign.
Well, we do have B12 in the Realign, of course. So if that is the case, then maybe that's what's happening. Yeah, it's fascinating. And people who are working directly with methylation patients are finding out more on a daily basis. And I just have trouble with the gene mutations in general because they shouldn't be happening this quickly, where so many of the population all of a sudden has methylation problems. It just doesn't make sense. So I think there's something else going on, which I attribute to the epigenetics of nutrient depletion.
Very good. Also, Mary types in, how do you do a rectal detox with Prescript Assist?
Well, I use my Prescript Assist in a small amount of water as a post-coffee enema implant. So I do my coffee enema, and then I'll put just 2 ounces of water, 1 or 2 capsules, open capsules, put in the black powder into the water, put that in my enema bag and insert it, lie there for a bit so that it doesn't want to come right out. And that's it.
Okay, excellent. All right, here's some of the questions that were written in by people who couldn't be here today but wanted their questions to be answered. So we talked about the Chelation suppository taken before bed. Okay, we talked about that one, right?
Right.
I was tested for heavy metal with Chelation. I had a terrible allergic reaction to the process. I'm wondering, how do you make it safe to excrete metals without a reaction?
That's what we've talked about all webinar. I hope it makes sense to you to work with the Remag and the Realign and the other aspects of the total body reset to give your body the building blocks to safely detox. And I only have 6 minutes before my next interview, so let's try to get through these.
Yep. Can you make some quick comments about your recommendation for the fermented cod liver oil? Does it have any detox properties? This is the vitamin D, K, blue oyster oil.
Well, it's fermented cod liver oil, so it is a food, and the processing to help it be digested is fermentation. And it does have the A, D, and K2. So being a food, having those 3 fat-soluble vitamins, including K2, is a real bonus for me. So that's why I take it and I recommend it.
Very good. Let's see. Heard that thyroid, you should only do, if you have thyroid issues, you should only do a light detox. What is the best detox when you don't want to lose weight? So I think we've covered that, how the total body reset supports the thyroid and is ongoing, right?
Right, yes.
Okay, very good.
But she's asking too, what's the best detox when you don't want to lose weight? Well, it really is, the yeast-free diet. And if you find you lose weight because you're avoiding carbohydrates, then you eat more fats, avocados, olive oil, macadamia nut, pate, that sort of thing.
Okay. Very good. I have fibromyalgia and I'm on 3 different drugs. I know these drugs are toxic to my body, but I need to take them for pain. Can a detox have any benefit with these toxic drugs in my system?
Well, that's a very good question, because I think when people are on drugs that it's very hard to detox, because you can actually increase the levels of the intermediary chemicals and have transient worsening of pain. So what we find with people who are on medications, we're able to find that they take the total body reset without having to touch their medication, and as the levels of magnesium and minerals build up and they get the gentle detox with Realign, they start feeling better and usually can start weaning back from their drugs with their doctor support.
Very good. Okay, so Carolyn, we're going to wrap it up because I know we have to tell about their free gifts. If your question wasn't answered, we are going to address it via email through support@rnareset.com. Do not panic. We will get to everybody's questions. Okay, next slide, Chad. If you've got bonus material that Dr. Dean has graciously offered at rnareset.com/detox gifts. You heard her talk about some of the modules that she's going to give you from her Future Health Now, Completement Now program. And also you heard her mention Dr. Carolyn Dean Live. drcarolyndeanlive.com is where all of Dr. Dean's free books are located. The thyroid, everything else like that. And I think I'll go on and actually post our webinars there. They're not there right now, but I will do that eventually. But for now, if you want to get the fibromyalgia, thyroid, or any of the other webinars we've done previous to this one, please don't hesitate to email us at support@rnareset.com and we'll shoot them right off to you. Any parting words, Carolyn? Great information today.
Oh, I hope so. It is a difficult topic, and I could feel my hesitancy with a lot of the answers because it is so individual. And hopefully I got across the notion that you want to eat a diet, drink your water, take your minerals on a regular basis, and that provides you with good support for your body's own detoxification. And I know there's a lot more to be said. I didn't even talk about coffee enemas, for Pete's sakes, which I still do once a week. But even something like coffee enemas, I remember a time when I was working with the Gerson Clinic. I'm on the board of the Gerson Clinic, and they do coffee enemas several times a day, but that's in their cancer patients. So I was doing an experiment and then doing a coffee enema every day, and I got addicted to them.
Oh, wow.
I would try to not have a coffee enema and get a headache. And I would take a coffee enema and it would get rid of the headache. And I thought, oh, I must have been toxic. And I thought that for too long until I realized, oh my gosh, I'm having caffeine withdrawal from the coffee enema.
Wow.
Yeah. So like Ginney says, I have tried everything. I've been there, done that. And all I'm trying to do is make things simpler, not make things more difficult, not, just force the body, not create extra bowel movements, and not stir things up too much, because even just giving you the right amount of magnesium can stir you up, because the body wakes up and starts doing its own thing. And, somehow we have to get across to people that, this little shift that you start feeling when you get magnesium saturation is very likely a good thing. And you have to, kind of stay with it and analyze your body and see how you're feeling. So we want to work with you. We don't want to work on you. That's our philosophy.
Very good. Excellent. Well, thank you everybody today for attending. It was our pleasure to provide you with this information. And I'm confident that you will benefit and prosper from it. And if you, again, stay in touch with us, we're happy to support you. Don't forget Monday afternoons radio show, 4 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. You guys are awesome. And thank you so much for being part of our world. We certainly appreciate you and all that you're going through to perfect your bodies, your minds, and your spirit, and to live this life gloriously and fully to the best of your ability. Take care, everybody.